Hi guys, and thanks for joining me today. If you're new here, I'm Marilyn, and if you're returning, thanks so much for coming back. Now on the channel, I do a lot of different types of crafts, but in today's video, I'm going to do a step-by-step tutorial to show you how in Embrilliance embroidery software, you can add fringe to your embroidery projects. Now, before we get started on this, I want to shout out Patty Ann's Place because I learned how to do this from her. If you haven't seen her on YouTube yet and you do embroidery design, check her out, and I'll have a link in the video description below to her channel. I just think she's amazing. Now, I'm in Embrilliance and I have Essentials and Stitch Artist Level 3, but you can do this project today with Stitch Artist Level 2. And the project is going to be to make an applique Easter egg on fabric that I will eventually use to make a zipper pouch. To start with, I want to find an egg shape, and I'm going to do that by going to the library. So I'm going to click right here where it says Merge Designs from the Library. And then down here in Shapes 2, there's an egg shape. It's right here, so I'll click on it and I'll say OK. Now to change the size of this, I could either just drag it, but I think a better way is go right up here to the Create Designs, click on that, and then you see your size over here. Now my proportions are locked, so when I change the height, the width will change as well. And I want this to be 3.5 inches tall. Now eventually, this egg, the line that we're looking at, that is going to be a placement stitch. But I don't want to put that placement stitch on there yet because if I do, it'll make it harder for you to see something that I'll be doing later. But I do want to go ahead and duplicate this so that I'd have a placement stitch and then a tack down stitch. So with it selected, I'll hit Command C for copy, Command V for paste. If you'd rather, you can go right here, you can click the copy icon and then the paste icon. Now I'm ready to put the shape on here that my fringe will follow. So once again, we're going back to Create Designs, and I'm going to select the rectangle or the square. If you don't see a square here, click on this down arrow and you can select it from here. But I'm going to select the square, and then I'm going to go down here and drag across the egg to make a rectangle. I want to go ahead and move that down, so I'm just using the arrows on my keyboard. And I think that looks good. Now at this time, I could go ahead and put stitches on this rectangle, but I find that when I draw with points, I have better luck at being able to edit those points. And we're going to do some point editing today. So to draw with points, we're going to click right here. And then I'm going to put a point where the top of this rectangle intersects with the left side of the egg. Then I'll come over here and I'll put a point where the top of the rectangle intersects with the right side of the egg. I'm going to go down here where the bottom of the rectangle intersects with the right side of the egg. And then we'll move back over here to the left side, add one there. And then to close this in, you just go right up here to the tomato and click on it. Now right now you can see that these lines are pretty straight, and that's why I didn't add the stitches to the egg yet. I wanted you to see this. Now later, this is going to be covered up by a satin border stitch. So it would be fine that these lines are straight like that. But if you're using a different shape and you need to know how to change those, let's go over that. So I'm going to click on this bottom right point, and then I'm going to do a right click, and I'm going to select curved. And of course, I don't want it to look like that. Let's use these handles and drag this curve in. And then on the left side, I would go right up here. What I'm doing is I'm clicking on the point after the line segment that I want to change. So I'm going to right click on that and I'll say curved again. And of course, we need to fix that. Okay, I think that's good enough. Now before I move forward, I want to get rid of this rectangle that I used to draw my fringe. So I'll select it over here and I'll hit delete. So let's go ahead and select this again, and it's time to add that fringe. To do that, you're going to go right up here to where it says satin column. We'll click on it, But there's a few more things we have to do. If I click on the Stitch Simulator, you can see this has a whole lot of underlay to it. And with fringe stitches, you don't want that. Also, some of these stitches are going in a direction that I just don't like. You see how the stitches are going like this? I want it to be going up and down like this, and then straighten up, and then over here on this side, back to more like this. So we're going to fix both of those things. But before we do, let me change the color. I feel like it's easier to see what's going on with really light colors of thread. So we'll click on this pale pink. So let's go ahead and select the design we're working with, this column. We're going to click right back here on Create Designs. That way I can see the settings of my satin stitch. To make it into a fringe stitch, you need to click right here where it says Normal Currently. Click on the down arrow, and I'm going to hit Fringe Left. Now, this is actually going to be Fringe Up or Fringe Top. I wish this actually said Fringe Left or Top, and I wish this said Fringe Right or Bottom. But what that means is if it's Fringe Top, then the top part of this is what's going to be loose and make my fringe. And the fringe will really be stitched down to my design right here. So I want it to be Fringe Top, so I have to click this Fringe Left. Now I still don't like the direction of some of those stitches. Let's look at it again. It always does that first, and then it starts on your fringe. And see how it's going in this direction? Again, I want it to go in this direction. So let's select it. Let's go up here to Create Designs, and then let's add some lines of inclination. That just tells your stitches which direction to stitch. So I'll click on it, and then I'm going to click down on my cursor, hold it down, drag the other end of my line where I want it, and then let go. I'm going to do one, let's do it about right here, that's slightly less angled. And in the center, we're going to do one straight up and down. Okay, we're going to do another one over here that is slightly angled. And then one that's angled much more drastically. Now, to get the stitches to show up, you hit the return or the enter button. So if we watch this stitch out, we'll click on the Stitch Simulator. It's going to do that outside stitch or the bottom stitch. Then it's going to add my satin column, and I'm loving the direction of that. After it gets all the way across, it's going to go back and forth along the bottom to really secure that in. All right, let's go ahead and select this, hit Command C for copy, Command V for paste. I'm going to use the up arrow on my keyboard, and we're going to put another one about right here. So we'll click on Create Design so I can see those points. I'm just going to lasso around those using my cursor, and I'm going to hit the left arrow on my keyboard. So I like where this one is pretty much. I don't like where this one is. I need to move it. If I move it now, it's going to move both of them. And I can tell it would do this because they're both blue. So let's hit Command Z to take it back. What you do is you click off of it, and then you can drag one at a time. So if they're both blue, they're both going to move. All right, let's go ahead and move this end. I'm going to click off of it so I can move this one. And you can kind of play with these to get them a little bit more the way you want them. All right, let's go ahead and move my lines of inclination over. I can just drag the top and the bottom, move it where I want it. And I'll do the same thing right over here. So now what I want to do is I want to have two at the top also, but I want the fringe to be open at the bottom. Now I don't have to recreate these. I just need to select these, hit copy paste to move them up. So we're going to click on the select tool, select both of those, hit Command C for copy, Command V for paste, and then we can start moving them up. Now once I get them up there, I'm going to have to flip them vertically, or the fringe is going to be open at the top still. move this down. Also, they're going to be too wide because it is narrower up here. So I'm going to have to move those points again. But for now, I have both of them selected. And here is your flip vertically icon here. If you don't see it, click on this Create Designs button until it shows up. But we'll go ahead and flip those. And then I'm going to fast forward through this, but I'm going to fix the points of both of these. Okay, so let's look at this. I think they are fine. There's the bottom one, next to bottom, the very top, and then the one under the top. I think that looks good. So let's go back and let's add our stitches to this placement stitch. So I'm going to select it, go up here to the Create Designs, and we're just going to put a run stitch on it. The run stitch is a single stitch at 2.5 millimeters in length, and I'm fine with that. Now let's go to the second one, and then we'll add a run stitch onto that. Once again, it's single at 2.5 millimeters. But I do want to change the color because I don't like to use two colors that are the same side by side. I don't want to have to remember to put a color stop when I get to my machine. I want it to happen automatically. Okay, so now we need to have a satin border around the edge. So I need to copy and paste this egg here. Or this one, it doesn't matter. But we're on this one, so I hit Command-C for copy, Command-V for paste, and it shows up at the bottom. Let's select it. And sometimes when I click on it, it does that and I get a little frustrated. Just click off of it, come back over, click on it, and we're going to add the satin border stitch. And right now it's at 3.5 millimeters in width. Let's just drag that down to 3. Lastly, I want to add a name, and I'm going to use a BX font that I have in my system. It's one that I bought from Stitchtopia. So I'll click on the A tool, and let's go down and find it. It is one of my very favorites. It's this Rainbow Kale. And let's just do it at, let's see what, 1.2. Woo, that's way too big. Let's take it down to 3/4 of an inch. Okay, much, much better. So I'm going to back over this, and in all caps, I'm going to type my great niece's name, Remy. And I actually like where it is. I don't need to move it at all. Now, one thing, I want to have this fringe and this fringe be the same color. So there's that one. Let's click down here on the color. Let's change it a color. And then, is it the third one? Yes. We'll click on the color of it. This time I'm going to go to palettes because that's just the colors I've used in this design. I'll select Deep Rose and I'll say OK. There's one more thing I want to do though. If I'm on a single needle, I don't want to have to change my thread back and forth. So I need to have this brighter pink up by this brighter pink. That way, if you're on a single needle, you stitch one of these out, it goes directly to the other one, and then you change your color if you're going to use two different colors for your fringe. So now it's time to make sure this is in the center of the hoop. Let's just decrease the size of it. I'm going to use the select tool. I'll select everything. I'll go up to utility and I'll say center in hoop. It was, but I just like to do that. So I'll go to file, save as a stitch and working file. I'm going to call it EMB and Remy Fringe Egg. My machines use DST, so I'm going to save it that way. Otherwise, you have all these varieties to choose from. All right, let's hit save. So I'm going to go ahead and get this on my machine, stitch this out real quickly, but the important thing is once it stitches out, because even though we told it to make fringe, it's not going to look like fringe yet. We're going to have to come back to the table. I'll put the overhead camera on and I'll show you exactly what you need to do to actually turn this into fringe. To stitch this out, I used 2 pieces of stabilizer and my background fabric, and I hooped them using my 5.5 inch Mighty Hoop. I ran the placement or position stitch to know where to put my applique fabric, and then I ran the tack down or material stitch. After that, I cut away the excess applique fabric and the fringe stitches stitched out. I used a dark purple thread for 2 of the lines and an olive green for the other 2 lines. I used the same dark purple for the satin border stitch as well as for Remy's name. Here's how the egg turned out, and now it's time to turn these satin columns into fringe. And I really like how the colors turned out. Now to turn those into fringe, we have to flip it over, and the goal is to cut all the bobbin thread away. By cutting all that bobbin thread away, I can lift the purple and the green fringe out, and it's going to be a loopy type fringe. If you want your fringe just to have straight edges, you're going to cut the top of the thread instead, so the color's up there. Maybe I'll do a second video to show that. But for today, let's go ahead and start with this green row right here because it looks like the easiest one to do. So I'm going to pick it up, kind of push it forward or push it upward with my finger below it, and then you can use a seam ripper. Or you could use something like applique scissors. And this is actually ripping very, very easily. Or cutting. Let's not call it ripping. Okay, I need to do a few more, but let's look and see what that's going to look like so far. So let me show you. Here's what it looks like from the back now. Let's flip that over. And now we're just going to try to pull these threads out from the top. So the top's going to come out. That bottom is nice and secure. We're going to leave it alone. So I think I want to try to do that with some tweezers. So I'm just going to kind of get below it and then pull toward me. Oh, it's working. It is working. It looks cute. So we're going below it, and then I'm going to pull toward me. We're pulling the top threads out. Now I see a little bobbin thread mixed in with that. I can clean that up later. Not a problem. Okay, what I found is if I go under it and then kind of push that way first and then pull up, they come out really nicely. Now in the video, I didn't talk about it. I did put a note below the part of the video where this came up, but these columns were about 1/3 of an inch tall. And so what Patty Ann's place talked about was she probably wouldn't go over, I think she said 9 millimeter, and I think maybe at one time she said probably not even over 8 millimeter. And 9 millimeters is just over 1/3 of an inch. And I used 1/3 of an inch. And I think this is pretty close to perfect. I've used smaller than that before, and it really just depends on the application in which you're using it. Okay. I am getting the hang of this. You go ahead and turn this around so I can get under these. And I may not have cut the bobbin thread on these yet because those are pretty tough to get out. And right here you can see those are still attached on the back, or they're still going through the back. So it's easy to see where you still need to cut. Then we can just kind of fuzzy that up a little bit. Let me look and see if there's any white bobbin thread in there. And I really don't see any. Now you do have a little line. You can see where the stitches used to be. But let me show this to you. Isn't that cute? So I think one of the things that Patty Ann's place did is she made like a lion. Yes, I think it was a lion's head. And the perimeter of it, or where the mane would be, was fringe. And I don't think it was quite as long as this. It might have been a little shorter. So it just depends on your project how long you want that fringe to be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this. I'll just fast forward through it. Then we'll take a look at it at the end. Look at how adorable that is. And one thing that I've learned through this process is the fewer strands of thread that you try to pull up at one time, they come out just a little bit easier. But this wasn't difficult at all. And I think Remy is just going to love this. So cute. Now I need to think of some more things to use fringe on. Let me know in the comment section below if you have an idea for fringe. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until my next video, bye-bye. Cute. That is really, really cute.